Another video review. And on today's episode, I am absolutely proud and thrilled to bring to you the Hot Toys MMS 285 of the Iron Man Mark 44, otherwise known as the Hulkbuster. It's almost been 3 years since pre-orders went out for this. And after delay, after delay, after redesign, after delay, here it finally is. That iconic suit finally made its debut in the Avengers Age of Ultron in an epic battle between the Hulkbuster and Incredible Hulk. For the package, you can see you got that really nice Avengers Age of Ultron logo right there. You got a really cool image of the Hulkbuster there, and you come around to the side and you see it carries over like with his shoulder. The opposite side here has more of his shoulder and like his arm down there. You got a little bit of a Hulkbuster logo. You can see that this package is a little bit different than what we got in terms of I guess you would say standard Hot Toy pieces. Now for comparison, obviously you see how big this is. I'm actually in my kitchen and not my normal review area, which you guys have seen in my recent kind of walkthrough video, but this is way too big for that. For comparison, this is a standard Hot Toy box. This is the upcoming Thor Ragnarok review that I'm going to be taking a look at. Putting it right here in the corner, I mean, you can see just how massive this is by comparison. This is like in terms of size, like 3 Hot Toy boxes here. You can see the side of it is basically the width of one. I mean, simply staggering in terms of the size. You basically got one and 2/3 of another one. I mean, it's just an absolutely massive packaging, but it is a little bit different. You can see that it doesn't have a full slip sleeve. It's cut off here on the side, and on the side here you can see the heavy duty foam that's underneath it that obviously protects the figure. It is a little bit of a slip kind of thing in that this does slide up. So this slides up, and getting this pulled all the way up, this is going to be a workout. So sliding that all the way up like so. On the inside here, you can see it says Iron Man Hulkbuster, actually engraved in the foam. You have the cast and crew responsible for making this, and I do have to give a huge nod to the guys that made this. Howard Chan, JC Hong, and so many other people that were responsible for this. I mean, the engineering and design for this, it blows me away. This little piece here does slide down, and well, things are falling, but on the inside here you have several of well, not several, but mostly his accessories. You can see his arm gauntlets, the different chest pieces that add in to kind of fully complete the look, and he also comes with an Iron Man Mark 43 bust, which this is something that's really interesting. We saw this initially, and then this is what we thought we were going to always get. And I mentioned in the beginning that a lot of the delays that we got were because the Hulkbuster was redesigned to not only be able to work with this bust, but also the full 1/6 scale representation of this. You can actually take that, if you have it, and slide it in the Hulkbuster, which honestly, they didn't need to do. This would probably have been perfectly fine for many collectors. But that level of realism that when it comes down to it, we have come to expect from Hot Toys really does shine in the piece, in the fact that you can use that full 1/6 scale Mark 43 and put it in there. That's a level of realism that I never expected them to do. And obviously we'll take a look at all of that here in what is sure to be one of the most intensive and longest Hot Toy videos I've ever done. Now, well, putting this back in. Then when you come to this side, you can see that, again, you got that heavy duty foam that nicely protects everything. This just separates, and you've got a lot of paper and little plastic pieces falling, but this is the inside where the figure is stored. So very high dense and substantial foam here. If you have any of the die-cast figures, you know the type of foam that this utilizes. It's also the same foam that was used to create the House Party Protocol Hall of Armor, so it is very high quality. I know a lot of collectors, and I do want to touch on this, are concerned about this being shipped to them because of how big it is. Outside of vehicles, this is the biggest Hot Toys figure that we've ever gotten. And regardless, whatever happens to the outer packaging, the foam here I think is really substantial enough to protect your piece. Now all of this does come in a brown shipping package, so in terms of protection, there are several layers of it. But we're not here and we didn't wait almost 3 years to look at the packaging for this. So without further ado, let's get the Hulkbuster out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have the Iron Man Mark 44, otherwise known as the Hulkbuster, opened up and out of his packaging. And this is not going to be some budget kind of review. This is going to be a beautiful 4K, highly detailed, and probably long review. So go ahead, go get some popcorn, go get some soda, I'll wait. I am Iron Man. Okay, that's it. So here he is, and this is absolutely massive. As I said, I have seen this several times in person at San Diego Comic-Con, but actually being able to hold it in my hands has completely blown me away. Now starting out first with his accessories. Now first up, this is the instruction booklet. You need to go through this, and I love how they actually have like a table of contents right here because this is pretty massive. What is it, 23 pages? Well, that part here really doesn't count as a page, but this is going to be your best friend in handling this figure in terms of all the features that it has, where to put the batteries, how to take it apart to put both the bust and the full-size Mark 43 in there, how you can display it all the way down to the level of articulation that the piece has. And it doesn't even cover all the articulation. There's some actual stuff in here that I found myself. But this is going to be your best friend on this journey. So make sure you go over that. One thing also is that you do get a different piece for the batteries for the bust. Now, when I was looking at the pictures here, let me see if I can find it. Flipping it around. They actually have it going a different way. This is the instructions here, and you can see that the battery compartment for the head, it goes sideways, whereas this actually goes up and down. So I think they're just reusing the maybe instructions from the original Mark 43 to put in there. This is an updated instruction sheet, so make sure that you look at that as well. You do get all the batteries for it. You get a lot of batteries, several different sizes and things of that nature. You also do get a clear pair of tweezers as well as the screwdrivers. So everything that you could basically want, I do recommend using the tweezers. It's a lot easier to get these very tiny batteries in the Iron Man figures, just in general. That's a nice little tool to have. Now, starting off first with some of the more integrated design stuff, you do get the arm gauntlets with it, which coming in to take a little bit closer of a look at this, you can see great gold color, some really nice wear on there, nice black panel lines and everything coming through, and you can see some nice silver. On the underside here, absolutely gorgeous silver paint. This is the right arm. It does actually say R on there, so you don't get these confused. And then, did I put the batteries in this one? I don't think I put the batteries in this one. No, I didn't put the batteries in this one. I only put them in the one so to show that actual light up feature up. But you do have this, and now this section here you can see does hinge up. You got a couple different hinge points on there that allow you to open this. Does that top one open? I don't remember if that one opens, but you can hinge that back like so. You got the little punching gimmick right here, then you got all this stuff. I mean, so many details. Like this piece here slides out. I don't know necessarily if this is the one that spewed out like smoke to try to make them fall asleep, but try to keep this focused. You can then take this and then these like just move around and such. Slide that back in. You can slide this forward. That little piece flexes and everything. So now people were, and it hinges down. I mean, lots of different points of articulation on this overall piece. Now, some people were complaining because initially I think people thought we were going to get that thing that was constantly punching the Hulk. I don't think that was ever actually confirmed anywhere. We saw, I guess you could say that we saw pictures of it. I think it was just this. So, I mean, people may have a concern over that, but like I said, I'm trying to remember if we ever saw that as being an advertised piece that we were going to get. I don't remember that being the case. Either way, though, you get these little pieces right here. Now, remember when he did do that punching thing, it was on the left arm, so like over here, and then this piece right here detached from it. Veronica put the like new arm on him, which was that little punching thing. So that could have been an extra accessory that we could have gotten. Unfortunately, we didn't. So it is what it is. Again, this section here slides forward. You got that little piece. You got the little, I guess these are the exact same, so I guess it was probably both of these that had the little gas thing that came out. Now, I did put the batteries in this one, so you turn that on like so, and you can see that section there lights up fairly nicely. Both of the little arm gauntlets do actually have that, so that's a nice little touch, but I'm not going to leave that on or anything. And then bring all that back in, collapse all of that up, hinge this back and forward, collapse that down along the side. And then you got the little attachment points right here that attach easily to the arms. And then to attach those, you can see I already have this one on. All you do is come around to the outer section of the forearm. You got the little slot sections right here that these little groove bits fit into. It's a little bit tricky, but line that up, get that there, and then give that a nice little push, and that locks that into place. You can remove those still if you really wanted to, but you can see that they nicely articulate here, and then they come down to allow for kind of those fight poses that he was going with. They're mostly designed to enhance his punching ability for the most part, but you can see it really does nicely sort of complete that look. Now coming down to take a closer look at some of his other accessories, all these little pieces right here kind of fill in the chest when you open it. You got one battle damage section right here, but these are all mostly designed for underneath the main chest piece. But gorgeous detail on these, absolutely spectacular silver paint, very clean looking, as well as this is kind of meant to be underneath the armor. And this is obviously how he looked before he was massively busted up by the Incredible Hulk. So you get pieces like this, again, great paint detail on there. While this is made out of plastic, it really does have a very nice metal look to it. Then you get a couple little extra strut pieces. Here, you get this little arc reactor section that comes across and covers up the actual arc reactor area on the chest of the 43. And then, as I was showing you, you get one battle damage piece. I like this. This is absolutely gorgeous. Great detail on there. But I've said this before, I don't like it when they give us one battle damage section and then nothing else, because everything else on there, while yeah, he's scraped up and scratched and everything, this replicates the Hulk hitting him. The other scratches and stuff are just basically wear from him being massive and bumping in and everything. So you do get this, and I like it. I just wish we got more. But I mean, you can see great paint variation in detail. All of it is really very nice, and then the internal details as well, really well done. Even when you come around here, I mean, you can kind of see, I mean, I guess there's some nice molded detail on the back. There's a big giant dent right there. But this is the piece that is really very cool for it, and this is honestly what I always just expected them to give us. A very simple Mark 43 bust. As you can see, the head is articulated, so you can kind of move that around. He does have a light up arc reactor. You got a little switch right here in the back that you just flip that in. Well, if I can do it, you just flip that down, and the arc reactor lights up very, very nicely, very bright as well. Great rectangular detail on there. You can also light up his face by just removing these pieces here. Tab in, you can pull his whole head off. Tab in right there, and then you got the little switch right there. Put that, I'm not going to put that top on there, but you can do something like that and light up his eyes. You can also, if you wanted to, you got the magnetic section that's right there. I don't know why you would want to do this, but you can do that, I guess. It is what it is. But like I said, this is all I honestly ever really expected them to do. The fact that they made this entire Hulkbuster figure actually work with the full scale Mark 43 really does impress me. Now, bringing that piece in and kind of angling up so I can show you all of this. The one thing that I have noticed is coloring wise, some aspects are lighter and darker than, I mean, obviously there's a lot of battle damage on this one as well. You got a lot of scrapes and scuffs and things like that. But size wise, they are identical for the most part. But what I am noticing is that, like, for example, this mask on the bust is a little bit darker of a color than the one that's on that figure. And then the actual red paint is a little bit darker on the full body one than on the bust. I mean, that's kind of interesting to me that they didn't color match it a little bit more. Maybe this is designed to be more bright of a color to kind of stand out while it's inside the Hulkbuster. I mean, I don't know what their actual thought process is on it, but you can see that it is a very nice, clean looking upper body representation of the Mark 43. And I'll bring this back out later on because we're going to show you how to put that on there, or I'm going to show you how to do it. So I do like the fact that it does have the articulated head, so you can kind of pose this around if you do have the chest open and things like that. The arms are locked into position. Those don't do anything. As I said, it's basically just the bust. I guess you could also say that some of the other accessories now, what these are actually, at first I wasn't sure what these are for, but these are to slide on the legs of your Mark 43 in case you do want to use this. What this does is it actually, you spread this out a little bit and it fits down inside here. Well, probably spread it out a little bit more. So it does go in like that. Of course, you can't see any of it because it's too far down, but that's basically what it's going to do. So one thing that the instructions also do tell you to be mindful of is when you have this figure in there, it will limit some of the articulation because obviously the legs of this guy fit down into the legs of this guy here. So you do want to be a little bit careful when you're doing that. So these slide on here. Now, I haven't tried this yet. I'm assuming you just kind of, they're like little sleeves. I guess you would just, let me fiddle with this. Okay, so that's a little bit tricky to do, but as you can see, you get it on there. It is fairly tight to the body, which is pretty nice. It is an elastic sort of material, so it is stretchy. So it does go on there fairly decently, but I like how they actually include that to protect that, because the arms really aren't necessary either in it. I mean, obviously they're not because this guy doesn't have arms. It would have been nice if they included ones for the arms as well, but I think that the biggest concern is these legs sliding down into the cavity up there, and I'll show all that off here in a bit, but that's really cool. So you do have that as, I guess, an accessory as well. Now for his light up features, he does have a lot of them. As you can see, he comes with a bunch of batteries, and they're all used to help light up the different arc reactors and things of that nature on this guy. So starting up here at the top, you do have the little headpiece. You just pop that off. You got the switch right down here. You put the batteries in that compartment there. Lift this up and flip, well, if I can, flip that switch, and you have his eyes that light up very nicely. Those control just the actual headlights, so you can see that just kind of fills in with his actual head there, which is kind of funny. And you just replace this piece right back there, just like so. Swing around to the back of the figure, and he does have several light up features here in the back. As you can see, multiple arc reactors throughout the entire thing. That's really where the Hulkbuster gets all of his power and how he's able to kind of compete with the Hulk. It's these arc reactors that give him that strength. Now the outer section here is magnetically attached, so using this little kind of tool makes it very easy to just reach in here, kind of wedge that in, pull that away. The screw allows you to access that full-on battery compartment, and then you got the switch right there that when you flip that, turns those on. You can see these little side ones activate, these larger back ones also activate, and then you can see the outer section on those also light up. So again, you got like 3, 5, 7, 10 arc reactors right there on his back to help power him up and battle the Hulk himself. So turning those off, putting that back just like that. Now the ones for his hands are a little bit tricky because you got these large sections attached to it. So what you need to do is come around, articulate this around, kind of angle this down, and this little piece right here attaches there. Just pull that off, use the tool if you need to, and then you got the battery compartment here with the switch right there. You flip that on, and that activates repulsor blast right there. So again, let me see if I can show you that. So you got that on and now off, and really cool light sort of effect right there. But that is a little bit tricky to get to. I have always said this, I do wish that they would make these a little bit easier to kind of activate the lights. That is a bit of a pain in the butt. And actually, I think I forgot, when you come around here and activate this, let me see, turning that on, spins that, oh yeah, I forgot to, this arc reactor in here, his main arc reactor, all this stuff happens, also does light up. So that one on the back activates that one as well. I did forget to show that, so I do apologize. So turning that back off, putting that there, spinning that around. Now, in addition to the enhanced sections, as I showed you, these do light up. I did show it on this one. I didn't put the batteries in this one because I'm not gonna really ever leave the lights on. I felt all you needed to see was it working kind of on that one. You come around to the back of his legs. He's got some massive arc reactors back here that you lift this, it just pegs in. The batteries go in there, flip this switch, and that powerful light from the slightly bigger batteries lights up very, very nicely. Again, you come around to the other side, and the front knee also lights up, as well as the smaller arc reactor down here. For the full effect, you come around and lift this, turn this one on, and again, now both of those back legs are lit up. Spin it around here, and you got the two here, or I'm sorry, the four here in the front, also very nicely lit up. So I mean, in terms of arc reactors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The one on his chest would be 7. You got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 different arc reactors on this guy. I mean, it's breathtaking. It really, really is. And the level of detail is kind of just staggering to look at all, and it's a little bit daunting to be showing that all off to you. So you do get all those different light up effects. Well, I guess, you got the little arc reactor on here as well. So what's that now, 18? I mean, he definitely needs a lot of power to fight the Incredible Hulk. So I guess it is what it is, but I mean, just really quite impressive level of detail, and all the different pieces that have been engineered into this really are very nice. And that's not even all of it. Now let's show you how he looks getting all fully powered up and fully assembled. Again, you really want to make sure that you utilize the instructions. There's a lot that's kind of involved in here, and I'll go through as slowly as possible to kind of highlight it, but really make sure you study those instructions so that you don't do anything wrong. First, what you want to do, you got these pieces right here which do remove and are magnetic. So it's very easy to just put that on and off. So just taking that off, setting those off to the side for now. Then you want to lift these little pieces. These are also magnetic, so it can be a little bit tricky to do. So if you need to, use your little tool, kind of lift that up like that. Do that on both sides like so, and then you can lift this. There's like a back flap here, spinning around here, so you can kind of see there's like this little back flap. You want to lift that up just like so, and then come back around, and then you can take this entire head section and you can, well, it all collapsed down there, but lift that all the way up and kind of position it right up there. From here, you want to then lift these pieces up, and the instructions have you removing these. So what you want to do, these are on ball joints, so just pull these off. You can see you got a little ball section right here that tabs in, so just get those a little twist and pull that away just like that. Now here I do want to mention that the inner cavity here has basically junk in it. This is filled in there, and then there's a wire, so you probably will need to use like a wire cutter to cut it, and then just pull all this junk out, and then you can discard that if you want. And then take these little pieces here, you can angle these down just like so. You got several different joints that kind of flex this down. You can bring that down and then fold these pieces out just like that. Now the instructions show you to take the helmet off. You don't really need to right now. You can leave that there, but kind of flex that around, and you got different points that you can play around with, just playing and, you know, setting it up kind of how you want. But really, there it is, fully opened. And I'm picking my camera up so that I can come in here and show you some of those details on the inside. You can see down there is where the feet, get this kind of as much as far as I can. Down there is where the feet actually will go. Let me see if I can go like that. So you can see kind of where the holes are there on that side and that side. So that's where the legs will go when you're using the full body, but great detail in this entire thing. Again, you can see all the nice paint and everything. This is what really does blow me away. This thing is just full of inner details and mechanics that really do set this piece completely apart. It really is spectacular looking. Now to go ahead and put the rest of the stuff in there, you have this section right here that does need to pop off. It's a little bit tricky to do, but just separate this from, I guess I could have showed that. You have that little separating section with some nice detail, and then take this silver piece, you're going to line that up, and you're going to put that on there just like so. Now you got little sections right in here that this will fit into, and it's magnetic, so when you put it in there, it will grab it fairly easily if you get it in there proper. There we go. So there's that. You have that piece that is essentially where it needs to be. Obviously, it's a little bit different if we're going to use the full body, but for what we have right now, this works. If you went ahead and removed the entire head section, go ahead and put that back on now. It just pegs in via some ball joints right in there as well. Then you bring in this piece and you just fit this in. Again, there's a magnet in there that once you put it in, pretty much locks it where it needs to be. And then you can see how everything's starting to fill out, which really does look cool. Then you bring in this piece, which is like a neck guard. So you'll put this right up there just like so. Again, that's magnetic, so that locks that into place. Then you take these two pieces and they actually, you have a little swivel thing right here, so that swivels down. Swivel that out just like that, and then connect them like so. And you want to take this, swivel this around, and then this kind of hinges inward, and then you've got little pegs right here along the side that attach here and then kind of fit up there. This is also magnetic, so once you kind of get that where it needs to be, it kind of fits, although it does require, because you got to get those little poles kind of lined up as well. So you got the little hole sections right there. You just kind of feed that in there and fiddle with it, and everything snaps in very nicely. And from here you kind of just close things up. So we're going to take this piece, this is going to come around. You do have to, this does take a little bit of finesse to kind of hold this little socket and then bring this little, I wish it actually didn't do that because that makes it a little bit more of a pain in the butt. All right, so there's that attached. So again, now we're just going to be bringing everything up, and oh well, I didn't think that does. Oh, this is a battle damage piece. So we can take this. You got a little slot section right here. I might as well put this on here. That slots in like so. So that, I'm gonna leave that there just to show the battle damage. So then again, you bring these pieces up. These pieces here kind of tab together loosely, and then the head kind of, it's gonna flex right there again. Make sure all those magnets line up. It's a little bit problematic, but there's that. Now we can take this, we can get this out of the way, hinge this towards the intersection, take this little piece right here, and then bring that right there. There we go. Bring that up, bring that up. You hook these two little bits right on the inside. There we go. Pull out the little kind of hook piece. Bring that up, fit this over and then down, lining that up. Do that in this section as well. Fold that down, bring that up. There we go. And there you have them. Now, you also had these two little bits. This is the easy part. You put that there and you put that there. And there you have the fully assembled Hulkbuster. And that completes the look for the guy. And it really is, again, absolutely massive. And really very accurate looking too. Getting all the details and different parts in here had to have been a challenge for Hot Toys, but I really think that they nailed it. And is well worth the almost 3-year wait that it has taken to get this guy.
Burger. Don't go that way. Come here. Come here. You can go back there, I guess. Oh, just sit there. Okay. Yeah, just sit there, Burger. All right. Well, Burger's gonna join us for the remainder of this portion of the video. Now, while I don't have a tape measure or anything, you can see just clearly how big this piece is. It's also extremely heavy. I cannot weigh this. Oh, there she goes. I can't weigh this, unfortunately. My scale doesn't go as high as I need it to. But what I can do for some size comparisons, I have to make sure I have the right space here in the table. So here he is. I'm gonna reach over, and the next largest Iron Man figure is Igor. And here that guy is. And you can see it towers over him. This was the previous biggest Iron Man figure, and this just completely blows it away, both in terms of mass and obviously height. And just because I'm going to bring this guy in later on, here he is with the Mark 43, and I mean, you can just see just the crazy size difference here. But okay, let's be honest, no comparison is enough unless we bring in the Incredible Hulk. And here you have it. Just, again, absolutely massive by comparison. And it's accurate because the Hulkbuster is bigger than the Hulk is. I wasn't honestly too sure if he was too big, but getting him here and then watching the movie, the scale actually is pretty decent. For what it is, I am really quite content. Now, if you want to use the full scale Mark 43, again, make sure you put those leg sleeves on. That way you can protect them. Put this piece on like so, and then you have to kind of spread them out. And this does get a little bit tricky to do. I'm going to point the toes. You just slide this down. Hopefully you're going to be able to see this, but you just slide the legs down there. And it honestly, I don't really like doing it. It's harder to see here than previously. These arms do kind of get in the way of things, so I just don't feel as if it clears through as well as it should. I think it's a nice attempt, but it's not something that I would really want to do over and over again, mostly because I'm afraid of damaging this actual figure. I mean, these are nice, but everything else kind of makes it difficult to do any of it. So for me, again, I'm really happy they just included this and allows me to put it in there without any kind of concern for the well-being of the regular figure. In addition to that, using this does limit the articulation. The leg does come down into this area, so the swivel up here for the legs is a little bit limited. The rocker for the waist is a little bit limited, and again, that all can potentially damage this piece. So to me, it's not worth it. It's a nice addition. I'm glad they included it. It's not something that I think I will ever really do beyond the one time that I did it in preparing for this video. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show that part to you. I'm sure you guys can appreciate that and respect the fact that I'm not going to, but as it is, I mean, you can still create that look with this just as is. So put all this in there, get this little piece attached up there, bring that, no wait, hold on, leave that there, hinge this in, closing that up, bring this little guy up like that, connect that, and then, oh, well, again, doing that all backwards, this piece has to remain detached. I'll just swivel that out to the side. Like that. This then comes down. Make sure you kind of get the head forward to get that all the way down like that. Detach this. Pull that away. There we go. Swivel that there. Bring these little pieces, lock that in, and you're going to hinge these up and latch that right there. Bring these down and under this section. Bring that all the way down. Do that here as well. Swivel this, that underneath. Bring that there. So for me, this is the completed look for the guy. Now for his articulation, when you have it all set up in here, the head will actually look left and right. It does have a swivel. You can also open this up and you can see a lot more internal details and things like that. You got the little tiny head in there, but it's meant to stay down like that. So that's actually cool that you do get a range of motion with it. Really doesn't look up and down. It kind of does. I mean, you can see it does hinge, but because you do have that other head in there, you do got to be careful when you're doing it. But you do get a fair good range of motion actually with that. I was definitely impressed with it. The shoulders here will rotate 360 degrees. One thing that the kind of read up on this talks about is that the joints have been reinforced basically with metal. I do kind of feel that these are very heavy duty joints, and you can hear that nice ratchet joint. It does feel like several joints do have that. It can hinge out, or this piece can hinge out like so, and then you can hinge the arms out very nicely, and you can bring that back down, and again you got that little flex point right here. You got a little, can spin this around to the side, you got this little piece right here that also does kind of flex and move around, which is cool, but you want to leave that all the way collapsed up like so, but leaving it out just to kind of show you some more of that articulation. The wrist here, or the forearms, do well, not forearms, but the upper part of the bicep does rotate. That is a very stiff joint as well. Come around here to the side of them, and you can see these little pieces here do flex out, kind of getting out of the way about there. You can hinge that back, and again you can pull that away from the body, and then you can see that the lower section here does articulate to kind of cover that gap, but you can bring the elbows down nicely. There's two joints actually. You got that one right there, and then you have this upper section that also does hinge. So you got two elbow joints, which is phenomenal. And then you look at the internal detail on it, and all of that is nicely painted, wonderfully sculpted. I'm going to do a flyby doing some highlights here in a minute, but absolutely terrific amount of detail sculpted into this. You can move these around, like I was saying. The hands, they do rotate, and then they also do flex, and you can see in flexing, this piece here also does move up and away from the body, so you get a better range of motion with the wrist. You can rotate the hand around, and you can see that each finger is individually articulated. The thumb here is on a ball joint up at the main knuckle, and then it flexes forward and back, and then each other finger also has a little bit of flex at the main section, and then two additional joints, so you can create a fist without actually using a fist. Really quite impressive for that. And then just bring that piece down, kind of fill things back in. Now this is going to be a little bit tricky to show because it is very, very heavy. So get these arms out of the way. You got little flex things right up in here that do kind of pull out and lift up, much like all Iron Man figures. You do have those on the sides, and it pulls away from the body very nicely. And I'm going to actually lay this down to show you this, because again, I can't hold this all the way up and fully demonstrate the articulation because it's just too damn heavy. So coming all the way down, when you get these little pieces moved out of the way, the legs do move forward. It only says about 30 degrees, so I'm not going to overextend it. That's probably about it. It doesn't move out at all. Now he does have knee joints, but it is really tough to articulate those. So pulling that up, and again, it's so hard to articulate that, but you got two joints here at the knee. You can see this lower section moves forward and back, and then you have an upper section. So I don't know how I can do this. I'm gonna just move it off to the side, I guess. But this back piece moves out, and it really is very, very stiff. So I'm not going to force too much of it, but you do have an upper and lower joint, and there's a lot of detail again that's in there. The ankles down here are also, again, they're also articulated, but it is so difficult to show you this, guys. It just is too heavy, and just not really possible to kind of demonstrate the articulation in the guy just because of how massive he is. I mean, honestly, I don't know a lot of people that are going to be putting him in like dynamic poses or anything of that nature, but the ankles do move a little bit kind of forward and back, and then they also do pull down to get a little bit more range of motion. I guess I should also mention that he does also have a waist joint. It moves ever so slightly. You can kind of see it swivels forward and back a little, but all the articulation is really there. It's just the mass and bulk of the figure do really limit it. But again, honestly, how many people are going to display him in some kind of a action pose? I mean, you just have him stand there because. And I like how it even says here, okay, so he weighs approximately 10 kilograms, which I have no idea what that is in pounds, but that's heavy. And it says, please handle with both hands together. Yeah, but you can't really do much with both hands because you don't have a third hand to be able to do anything. So, I mean, as massive and impressive as it is, that sheer size does kind of restrict what you're going to be able to do with it. So it's almost like the size and everything is a hindrance. But really, does it matter when you can pull off something like this? Even with the fact that you can't really articulate him because of his size, as you can see, he still displays very, very nicely. All of the detail on this guy, all the way from the intricate inner parts to all the different paint applications on the parts that you can see, really do shine and just scream that this is a masterpiece and something that Hot Toys has got to be extraordinarily proud of. I mean, all the internal details are nicely recreated. Parts that you can't even see from the movie, all wonderfully reconstructed here. Without a doubt, this has got to be one of the most impressive things that Hot Toys has ever been a part of. And I am simply just blown away by the detail that they got into this guy. It really is just staggering. I mean, you come around to the back, and again, you can see all that detail put through the entire piece, all the way down to the different leg pieces, all the way to the different joints and all the arc reactors that are there. Everything on this guy, by what they were able to accomplish with this. It is really something that they should be absolutely proud of creating. This turned out simply amazing. I really am absolutely blown away by this. After almost 3 years of waiting, I really can say that this was well worth the wait. The level of detail and engineering that Hot Toys has put into this absolutely blows me away. But there are aspects of this figure that, due to what it is a little bit limiting, such as the articulation in them. But just having them stand there is imposing and really does look great. I also don't particularly like the inclusion of the full body Mark 43 integration. While it's a cool addition, I'm not comfortable putting the figure in there. While I appreciate the fact that they give us something to protect the legs, I do feel that other parts on the figure would be susceptible to damage. I do want to note that it is specifically mentioned that the Mark 43 is the only suit that this is designed to hold. I think that you could fit other suits in there, but it's, again, something that I would absolutely not recommend. The other thing that I do want to touch on is there has been some debate in the community about the accessories that this guy comes with, or technically lack thereof. They are fairly disappointed that he doesn't come with the pile driver arm, which again, I don't necessarily remember ever seeing that advertised. If it is, I just don't remember. It's been a long time. The other thing that a lot of people have really pointed out is that at a couple different San Diego Comic-Cons, the actual unit that housed all this for Tony Stark was Veronica. And there were times where we did see at San Diego Comic-Con a little floating Veronica piece that I guess some people saw as them telling us that it was going to come with this. It doesn't. Now that's not to say that it's not going to come out as some kind of like add-on kit or something later on, but it definitely doesn't come with this. So those are two pieces that they could have included with this set. Now they may have cut that out simply because this is $825. Adding those other pieces could have potentially push the price to close to $1,000, and maybe they cut those out because they thought that was too much for collectors to do. I don't know. I think that if collectors were already going to put up $825 for this, they probably would have put up a few more dollars to get those two additional pieces. As it is, I don't mind the lack of the pile driver arm as much as I do the lack of Veronica. That would have been a cool addition to kind of have standing and hovering there in the background. So I would have liked to have seen that, but this is definitely a heavy duty Iron Man collector piece. The price is fairly cost prohibitive when it comes to just people that are collecting the $250 Iron Man figures, but at 3 years, when the pre-order for this went up, if you utilize the flex pay, it would be able to be completely paid off well ahead of schedule. And that's one aspect that I really do want to encourage you guys to look at, especially with expensive pieces like this. When they go up for pre-order, get that pre-order in as quickly as possible so you can set your flex pay as low as possible. And then when it does come out, you've whittled away at the actual cost of it, and if you haven't paid it off, it's not nearly as expensive when it finally does drop. That's a wonderful aspect that only Sideshow offers to us as Hot Toy collectors. For me though, this was always going to be a figure that I had to have. It is without question the centerpiece in my massive Iron Man collection. And while it is expensive, if you're an Iron Man fan, I could not recommend this figure to you guys enough. It is without question an articulated piece of art. So, all that being said, if this is a piece that you'd like to add to your collection, it will be hitting Sideshow Collectibles fairly soon. So if you pre-order them, look to get that long-awaited email fairly soon. Or as always, you can get one at Sideshow Collectibles. So all you have to do for that is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to Sideshow where you can check out availability on this guy, as well as the rest of their wide range of Hot Toys 1/6 scale figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that if you like this video, to please hit that thumbs up button. It goes a long way towards helping me out, and I really appreciate it. Also, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe in case you haven't already subscribed. It's free, and you'll get instant email notifications whenever I upload a new video, and you'll never miss out on a future review of mine. Or hey, if you're already subscribed, now more than ever, it's important to make sure that you're getting those email notifications. We all know just how unreliable the YouTube subscription box is, so the best way to make sure that you get my video reviews when they go live is to click on that little bell right below this video and double check your settings to make sure that they're set so that you get those email notifications. And, as always, until next time, be excellent to each other.